this one. I love a bit of like Q&A sessions, so I'm quite excited to get into it. So this section, of course, there's a little bit of background noise. Thanks, Marco. All right, is about asking the PSC everything you need to know about basically making a QGIS user group in your country. So I'm really excited to know how to do that and get set up. So yeah, over to you, Hans.
Yes, thanks, Amy. So I'm really happy that we have Marco here from the PSC and Tim, and of course all of you here in the Jitsi and on YouTube to engage with us because we would like to have more user groups in the world. So let's have a look where they are now, and the best way to show that is in QGIS. I'm going to share my screen.
Okan says hi from Turkey.
Welcome. So here in QGIS, you might have discovered the Easter eggs, and if not, you're going to learn one here. If you type user groups in the coordinate field, user groups, and press enter, you get a map which shows the current user groups in the world. And I think we can do better. I think the spatial distribution is also a bit awkward of the user groups. And in fact, the whole map should look green, right? So that's the whole purpose of this session, to discuss how can we boost the presence of user groups in many other areas. And user groups are also often linked to contributor meetings, which used to be called hackfests. If I don't make a hackfest, I should not make typos here. Hackfests. And that distribution is also a bit odd. And we see here one in Africa and some here. So I think once you have a user group, you can do much more and also engage globally with the community. To have an idea of what user groups do, I'm going to open the QGIS website, because there's a whole section on user groups. And well, first of all, where you can find this page, you go to qgis.org community local user groups. And if you scroll down, then you come to these sections with the goals of a user group, which is about organizing meetings. But basically, user groups are local ambassadors of QGIS in your country and try to exchange knowledge, information about QGIS in the country, but also the link with QGIS International. It's about organizing events, discussing with your colleagues in your country, and getting more people engaged in the QGIS community locally and internationally. What's also important is that user groups are a voting member, so you can also internationally contribute to decisions that the QGIS organization has to take. And QGIS is organized in this democratic way. We have the chair here on board as part of the board. There's a project steering committee, but there are voting members. And as you can see here, without going into too much detail, one of the voting groups are the QGIS user groups. So you will have a vote through your user group. You can discuss on decisions that QGIS has to take. So user groups play quite an important role in representing the QGIS community also internationally. And to give you an example of what user groups do, I have here the QGIS user group website of the Netherlands. And the site's in Dutch because it's for the Dutch community. And there's here a calendar button that gives you a bit of an idea, and best to look at past events to give you a bit of an overview of what things we do. We have our user day, a general assembly and drinks, announcement of the user conference as an international event, of course. We organize a camping for our QGIS members, a free campsite close to the Phosphor G in the Netherlands. This one was for Belgium, Netherlands. The last one was in Wageningen, Netherlands. A user day about remote sensing, some fairs that are in the Netherlands organized for the geo community. So we have presence there, New Year's drinks, user day for municipalities, machine learning workshops. So a lot of events, and they are not necessarily organized by the board of our user group. QGIS is a duocracy, as we say. So it's very much a bottom-up approach where our members come with ideas and host these events. And as a board, we try to provide logistical support and financial support if needed. So that's basically what user groups do. And I think this I want to just keep this short, starts the scene for having a discussion with you and also the PSC and experienced user group members, which hopefully are also here, about how do we get this started in your country. So that's maybe my first question. So how would you start a user group? So Marco or
there's the talk from the last conference, Raymond's talk about the Dutch user group and how it started.
Yeah, so that's indeed a useful one. Maybe Raymond, I invited him.
He's commenting on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, so that's great. But yeah, so let's discuss how we can best start a user group. Anybody has ideas here without going to watch other videos and presentations elsewhere? What or provide a summary of that?
Go for it.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, the easiest way to start is get people together that are interested in very informally, just interested in QGIS, and would like to start exchanging exchanging know-how and exploring opportunities together. I think this is a very, very easy way to start. It does not have to be formalized. It does not have to be an association. Just first see if you find same mind-like people that would help in the process, because it will setting up the entity depends on the country you are in, how complicated it is, but then running a user group, I think, is something that requires a bit of time, because you can be a user group that does nothing. It's not really interesting. So the interesting part is when a user group is really active, like if we see what the Netherlands or Switzerland or Germany, or the user group that exists since many years are extremely active, and the newer ones are just starting to get active as well. So and then is when it really gets interesting, I think.
Thanks, Marco. Yes, so gathering a nice group of people, like-minded people that want to kick this off and getting things aligned and start cooperating. I think that's a kickstart that we also had in the Netherlands. And then how do you go from there? How can you make it connected to QGIS International? What are the minimum requirements and what's the procedure?
So the procedure is reach out to me and tell me that you're interested in becoming one, and then I can start guiding you. It is actually very, very easy. Maybe Hans, you had the page on requirements. Maybe we can put this one up and I can quickly go through it. The point is that the user group can take very different formal kind of forms. We have very loose groupings that just decided together to call themselves a user group, or we go all the way to a formalized entity like QGIS. Sorry, I have a lot of echo from someone. RK, I'm going to mute you if it's okay for you.
There we go.
Oh, thank you. So I'll often talk about the Swiss user group because I know it best. So it's not because I want to be making advertisement. So it's just because I know how it works. Then you can go all the formalized way as in Switzerland, where it is a recognized association according to the Swiss law. Funnily enough, it is the very same thing as QGIS International. So, but the requirements are very low. The most important thing is that it has to have democratic structures that allow everybody to join and to have a voice. So I think this is really important, first rule, and then it should be vendor or company neutral. So a user group in a country should not be just a company pushing their QGIS courses out. So it's sort of the kind of the basic two, and then obviously, as we do with everything in QGIS, we want transparency. So if you are collecting membership fees, like many user groups do. We want to know where they are going, how much it is, where they are collected. So just, transparent association. And on how to become accepted, it is, as I said, you reach out to me either after having done all this, if you want to do it by yourself, which is okay, which is the nice way for me, because I can just say, great job, super cool to hear that. And then we need to know that there is a new group to make it official, and to make that the next year, I don't know if you noticed before, when Hans was showing on the image, there are two types of voting members, and the community voting members number, it's always on pair with the user group's number, so that we balance out user group wishes together with community members.
J'ai changé d'avis en quelques minutes après avoir pris une carte.
Yes, and then so basically there is a new user group somewhere in the world, means in the end of the year we will have to do elections for community member.
Thanks, Marco. I think that clarifies a lot.
There's some cool interactions from the live chat. I'll just read out some of them.
Please.
Someone says, "Hi, all Boz Maps here." Hi, Boz Maps. I did see that Raymond did say hi from the Netherlands, so he's joining in on the live chat. Then Jigme from Bhutan says that this is a great session. They for user groups, and it's super relevant to Bhutan, and that they did make a small contribution as the Bhutan QGIS community, which is very exciting.
Cool.
Thanks, Amy. Great to hear that. I would like to dive in a little bit in the examples that we have, mostly from European countries, and might be a bit difficult for Global South countries. For example, if we follow the Danish model, which is one of the richer user groups, they have a memberships fee, which we also have in the Netherlands. And then we organize events from those fees, but we also try to support QGIS internationally. This might be very difficult in the Global South. So is it a requirement to have membership fees, or are there other ways that you can accept as a QGIS to have members in your organization?
No, there is a... Sorry, Dror, you want to go ahead? Go ahead.
No, I was waiting for after this question, but
Okay.
what I wanted to ask, specifically, because we kind of have like a community, and from what I understood from your comments previously, we're pretty much there as a user group, except for democratic part, which unless we actually take in, fees, I'm trying to understand what other democratic part is there besides electing the voting member. I think that's what it's called.
Okay, so let me first quickly address Ant's question. There is absolutely no requirement to ask for fees to become a user group, and there is no requirement for QGIS.org to... You don't have to deliver any money to QGIS.org to become a user group. So nothing like that. Of course, what Hans was saying, that the richer user groups are then becoming sustaining members themselves to QGIS. So it's a really easy way for somebody in a country to channel money to QGIS.org international. Now imagine a corporation in Switzerland, which is maybe not allowed to give money internationally, but can give money to the local user group. So it's really easy to gather that money and then pass it on to QGIS.org. And that is what is happening in many countries. That said, one of the, and here we see that Denmark, Sweden here in this case specifically, thanks to the user conference, they managed to get enough rest money around to actually donate more, and they used to be large. and they for this year, by having done the conference, they managed to get more money together and donated that to the project itself. So here also a good example of not collecting membership, but in having people collect money from a conference and then moving this up the chain. In the supporting members, you can see here Hans is showing there is a mix of companies and user groups, which is super nice to see, because it means that we are actually making local business, we are enabling local business to donate to a local entity, which then donates to an international entity with the international problems that this brings. We're very used to doing this, and that's a very efficient way to bring sustaining members to QGIS. We are, of course, very happy also about companies that sponsor, and what we're going to try to do in the next maybe a half year is to do a big drive to try to gain more sustaining members. So we prefer having money coming in through sustaining members than through one-time crowdfundings, because this is something that is over time. Once you become sustaining members, usually you've done all the work to become sustaining member, and then you just keep on doing the same year after year, which is really nice for the project, because we manage to have money to make a fantastic software available to everybody. Now, to Dror's question, the democratic requirement has nothing to do with the membership fee. I think even if you're not charging any fees to become member of an association, you still need to allow everybody to join the association. You still need to, if the association needs to have a chair, the chair not to be self-appointed forever, how benevolent he wants to be or she wants to be, but still, I think that's more the kind of message that we want to say, is that the group should be an open group. I'm not sure if we still, well, we still have the fact that we're saying it should be on an open platform where everybody can join, so you're not putting, user group Madagascar is Facebook only. That's not the way that you like to go. There is an official Facebook group, which is by far biggest official user group, because it has, probably now we are at 120,000 members. And that's why we decided to make this an official user group as well. But the point is there is no requirements for money. There is a requirement on openness and on allowing anybody to join the association.
So the democratic part is mostly, just staying open, letting anyone, I don't know. I know that the Dutch user group, they allow companies to be members as well. So the idea is everyone can join, and at the democratic part is mostly about voting for the chair.
Okay. Yes, and of course in the case of Swiss or Dutch or Danish user group where there is money involved, then they also are taking decision on what to sponsor with the money. So, for instance, I don't know in the other country if they are. You might have seen Switzerland is only a large sustaining member and not a flagship member. Although we would have the budget to be flagship, but we are running a grant proposal program internally in Switzerland. So we are mirroring what is being done in QGIS.org with the grant program. We are mirroring it in Switzerland for projects that are extremely Swiss relevant. Everything that is multilingual is very often coming out of Swiss grant, because having 4 national languages in such a small country makes multilingual tooling really important for us. So any user group can then do the way that they would like to do and do the best that they can.
Thanks. Does the legal entity, is that a necessary one, or can you go around that? Because that's in some countries a bit difficult.
I'm pretty sure that we have user groups that are not legal entities. And I mean, as I mentioned before, the Facebook group is obviously not a legal entity. We usually suggest, no, let me go one step back. We don't suggest. I would advise anybody that wants to start taking membership money to have a legal entity behind it. And we probably would need, maybe I'm going a bit out of my comfort zone maybe here, but I'd say that as soon as there is money involved, you'll have to have a legal entity, because if not, things can sound shady very quickly. Whereas if you have a legal entity, you'll be able to do payments, receive payments, and everything that needed. So that would be my advice, is if there is money involved in membership fees and you want to become sustaining members, then a legal entity is the way to go. What type of legal entities I cannot really comment on. I can try to help if you come with me with specific questions, but that's really country dependent.
And
there are
just regarding that, assuming there's no money involved, where do you draw the line? How do you identify a group? I mean, you can say it's a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group. I mean, but where's the line really drawn? Even if you say, okay, we take all of these groups, all of these social media groups, and decide they overlap. I mean, they're all part of the same community. Does the group need to have like a member list somewhere? I mean, where do you organize it? Like, how do you list the group as a group for that purpose?
So far we've been very loose, and I think that is okay. As soon as the group comes with ideas, they have a website, a place that we can see what they are doing. Then it doesn't really matter what technology they are using behind. I know in Indonesia they are extremely active on, I think it's Telegram. Don't quote me on this. Maybe it's Signal or maybe something else. But they are extremely active in there, and we get to know a couple of people from the group and see what the group is doing. Obviously, there is always a linguistic problem. I do understand a couple of languages, but by far not all the language of all our user groups. So, but we are very we want people to build communities that thrive in the best way for the place that they are in, and that makes initiative or local initiative the most important thing. So, and foremost, if there is no money involved, then it's really about interest and seeing that there is activity happening. Yes.
I see. Farad, did you put a question in the chat? Would you like to chat about it?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I am from Pakistan, and I am running a GIS company here in Pakistan for past many years. And I have two of my products and also the services. I'm so very much interested in having a user group here. I'm unable to find one. So I just wanted to know, is it an equal opportunity for this part of the world as well? And my second question would be, can we use this membership fee that we are going to charge or collect under the user groups for some sort of the community development program? I would really appreciate your answers. Thank you.
So I'll quickly address the first question first. So no, there is no user group there yet. So you're in the best place today for starting one. And the second question.
So I should be excited about it, right?
Yes, you should talk to me. You can write to me. It's marco@qgis.org, and then I can give you more guidance. To the second question, this is really depending on the statutes of the association you built. if you say QGIS Pakistan wants to have members so that we can help local development of, I don't know, I'll say children in technology. That's super fair. That's absolutely fair. It needs to be in the statute of the association. The statutes, we will get the statutes when you are becoming a user group, and if they are according to what I mentioned before, then there is no problem at all. If what I mentioned about Switzerland, we are kind of doing this. We are supporting development of QGIS for the local community, I guess, that you could argue that we are doing exactly that in Switzerland. So yes, you can absolutely do that kind of thing.
It's a great idea. I see there's questions from Antidius, who previously also posted in the chat here in Jitsi that he's joining from Tanzania with a newly registered QGIS user group. So congratulations, all of you in Tanzania. So Antidius, if you want to take the mic to ask your questions here.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Is my voice clear?
Yes.
Hi. Yes.
Okay. Yes. I don't want to take all the credits by myself. This was done by the community and collective effort. In collaboration with Hemedi Lungo, you should know him, and a couple of guys that we have here in Tanzania. So I have two questions. One is regarding on the micro grants. I know Marco has tried to touch on, but specifically for the global south, do we have a means or any specific micro grants directed for the local user groups, for the local user groups in the global south, as this suppose on the more on the sustainability of the local user groups? And the second one is on the credibility, or I should put it. I've been visiting or seeing on the QGIS website. The last to be updated was in 2022. The last user groups. So we are not shown there. And down here in Tanzania, where we are trying to say that, oh, hey, we are registered, we are the local user group, let us do this. Or if we are trying to go to any of the entities, try to maybe conduct a training or do the capacity building and try to simplify the workflows to use the QGIS. So if there's the means where they can see that, okay, oh, you are really registered, you are the local user groups, there is no shady stuffs, and you are seen on the QGIS, you are displayed as you have seen others, as a local groups are represented. So I think, I don't know how long it takes, because it has been like a year now or something, but maybe you can clarify that, Marco, how long it takes, and if there is anything to be, if there is anything maybe to present locally, that, hey, we are registered, we have maybe a certificate or something to be presentable instead of words.
Yes. So first question, microgrants. Unfortunately, I have to answer no so far, but I can add so far that's something that we never thought about. You
could mention, Marco, the grant program that we have.
Yes, I was going to go there. Yeah. Thanks, Tim. But there are two things. On one side, the grant program, which is something that we run every year. And it is for making QGIS better. It doesn't mean that QGIS is only the code of QGIS. It's anything could come in there. What we do not sponsor with the grant usually is new features, because for that there is enough other things happening. But this could be a way to go. The other little thing that we have is a travel grant program that is more towards individuals that want to go to the QGIS user conference and do not have the means to do so. So we can help there. But we do not have so far something that really is a fund to help push local user group.
Thanks,
Now,
Marco. Yeah, maybe something to ask here, because I've discussed this with Tim before. User groups, they need some infrastructure or enabling factors, and we've been discussing with Tim to provide user groups maybe a space, a web space under the domain, which for some countries also is a cost or is difficult to achieve. So maybe you can elaborate, or Tim can elaborate a little bit on those ideas on how the PSC or QGIS org can support in other ways than financial support.
I'll leave Tim on this.
Yeah, so we were brainstorming, Marco, also, I didn't talk to you about it yet, but about making a pack, like a country user group pack, which would be like a website template with even have some like boilerplate for the charter and other things that a country user group would want to have when they get started, and they could adapt it so that they can kind of bootstrap themselves without having to rethink about all the things that other country user groups have already done. And just to mention that Lova is in the call as well here. Hello, Lova. And if you have any issues like this with your user group not appearing on the website, you can just open a ticket or write to Lova or contact him, and you know, he can help you to make sure that your presence is felt. And for the certificates, I think this would be part of the pack idea as well, to have a certificate for every country user group. I think we can come up with something using something similar to our certification program, where we have a template and you could put some branding on there of your country user group, and then we could issue like an official country certificate. So that would be something else for Lova to go and add to his to-do list.
Is Lova's email readily available? Is it also an @qgis.org?
He is now at lova@qgis.org. So that's @qgis.org. Maybe about the funding, the micro grants. I mean, usually the idea is that the country user groups should self-organize and in their way support the QGIS project. So the flow of money is usually from the user group towards QGIS rather than the other direction, but I don't think that is a fixed rule somewhere. So yeah, if you come up with a compelling grant program, it will get a proposal to get reviewed by the community, and if they think you have a great idea and they want to support you, they will do it. But really, for me, the goal of a country user group is that you self-organize to address your own country's needs in QGIS. So if you see that there is some missing feature, or like again, Hans and I were just brainstorming about things that we could also be doing for country user groups, which would be like having a data pack, like some kind of a plugin or capability in QGIS where for every country you could go and register all your national data sources that are commonly used and make it easy to discover in QGIS. These kind of things would be great initiatives for country user groups to help to surface into QGIS, to make QGIS useful in your own country. Or another common example is coordinate reference systems that are not present in QGIS or correct in QGIS. Often there might be some small idiosyncrasies about the CRSs that you use, and you could help to make sure that they are properly represented in QGIS. Also, your languages in your country may help, work on translation efforts and so on, and promoting the project and with government and your local businesses and so on. So these are really the ideas of what we're looking for you to do as a country group, and yeah, usually that requires some self-organization, mobilizing your own funds if you need funds to do this.
is there an option to sort of team up with another group? I see Sean mentions that the QGIS user group in the UK is also linked to Osteo UK. So is there an option to kind of have two groups holding hands?
The French user group do the same. Yeah, I think that it's obviously if it's the Esri and QGIS user group, I don't know. Maybe it will be weird, but I don't know.
I think OSGeo and QGIS user group being the same, it's definitely being done out there. Sometimes it's the OSGeo user group that exists since longer, then creates a subchapter internally that is then the QGIS subchapter. Absolutely possible to do, yes.
I have a more difficult situation to ask about.
Can I first answer
exactly about that?
Can I first answer
Oh, okay.
the previous question on the website? We didn't address that. Visibility on the website, actually, Tanzania should be there already. Just probably I'd say that it's my fault that I didn't push the information out since you joined this year. To have it on the website. You can obviously also do a pull request if you feel like doing that, but I will get this fixed.
Or just contact Lova directly as well if you feel like you've been missed out.
Yeah. So Dror, difficult question.
Yeah, difficult question about possibly being a subchapter of another organization. We don't in Israel don't officially have a user group. We do, however, have a WhatsApp group, we have a Facebook group, we have a very non-active Telegram group, and a YouTube channel where we actually do open days, try to do them every month. What we were thinking is maybe to try and get the user group under the entity of the Cartographic and GIS Association, which we are both actually members of. But that means that it is technically, GIS, not just OSGeo. So there are supporting sponsors who are part of organizations. Currently, the local Esri people don't sponsor, but the question is that really a possibility, or should it be a different entity?
Oh, that is a very good question, and without the complete context, really hard to answer. It depends. It all boils down, I think, to the statutes of that organization that you would join and how they would see you as a subchapter there. Would you be able to have your own members or not? Would you have to be every event you do, would you have to show the sponsor of the head organization or not? It's tricky to answer you quickly now, but we can for sure organize to have a chat together and go in more detail and see what can be done, what should be not done, and what. From the QGIS side, I don't see a problem of a subgroup somewhere. But maybe I'm just being naive and haven't seen all the detail of the question. Yes.
Optimistic.
I talk about subgroups. I've put a link here in the Jitsi to the OSGeo chapters wiki of OSGeo, so you can find maybe your own country and team up with them. It's a great starting point. Maybe if you find your own region or country, and maybe Amy can share it also on YouTube if you haven't done yet. Related to that, does it really need to be a country? Does a user group need to be country specific, or can it also be a regional or a language group or whatever kind of spatial boundary?
Tim, do you remember the answer to this? It's probably something in the statutes. I'm not really. I would quickly have to go and have a look at the statutes and answer you toward the end of the discussion, or delegate to Tim. I see him looking at the screen deeply, so probably he's already reading up the
No,
statutes.
I'm not reading, I'm thinking. But so you're asking what constitutes a country?
Yeah, for example, if you have Belgium, and I know Belgium doesn't have a QGIS user group, but if they want to have a Flanders user group, or if the Dutch want to join the Flemish, we speak the same language and we are quite close to each other.
We had the example with the UK when they joined. They said, "Oh, we're going to have a UK, Wales, and Scotland. There's going to be an Ireland. I don't know, whatever."
Commonwealth user group.
4 different groups, because they, I mean, the rest of the world thinks of that island of Great Britain as one thing, but they think of themselves as different countries. We just said, if you're happy with the way you've organized it, then that's fine. But yeah, so I don't think we have any strict rules about it, or it goes into geopolitics, right? And, a little bit. And, yeah.
They are called country voting members, but I really need to read up the statutes, the charter.
Okay, no worries. We can get the answer later too, and maybe also nice if it's just a discussion of some entity that wants it. I don't know. It's for me a hypothetical case, but I can imagine that it exists in some places.
I think the thing we want to avoid is having 2 user groups in one country, more than 2 countries in one user group. But yeah.
Selma, go for it.
Yeah, hello all. That was the idea we already discussed, Marco, if you remember, in Sweden for a Balkan user group or something like that. I don't know, it's the Balkan name appropriate, but something like that, because we in Bosnia, we do have people who use QGIS and they are very much enthusiastic about it. But I'm not sure that we have enough people just in Bosnia. So Vedran from Croatia and me from Bosnia, we were talking about establishing a user group for Balkan countries. So the legal registration is the biggest problem for us, because the bureaucracy is not the same in Bosnia and Croatia and perhaps Serbia or Montenegro, other countries. So it will be nice to have a user group for Balkan countries, but we don't know how to deal with that bureaucracy things, how to register legal association or something like that. So it's quite interesting question for us.
I think maybe on one aspect I can probably give a bit more insight, and that's if you are planning to do membership fees, probably over like a multi-country user group is going to put you in a harder position because you will set up an entity in, say, in Serbia, and you will have somebody from Bosnia having to become member of a Serbian association, which I'm not sure. Maybe it's easy, maybe it's not. But maybe there is a way to have the legal association being bound to a country and then having the organization of events being between multiple legal associations, sort of like this. As I told you already in Sweden, Selma, it's a trick. I think I understand the point where you say in one country we are not enough, but in 3 countries we would be a very good group. But yeah, my answer, same as back then, the legal association, it's bound by other laws than QGIS laws, and we cannot bend those. So I think from the QGIS point of view, possibly we could say that QGIS Balkan is a doable reality, but first we would need to figure out what behind, if that's a reality or not. So,
yeah. Thank you.
Amy, are there any questions from the YouTube stream?
So far, not many questions. Sandra does say, thanks all for being an amazing QGIS community. So that's very nice. Anita Graza says, hi from Vienna. Raymond asked where the background noise was coming from. I think he wants to be involved with the party. But so far, no questions, just comments.
Okay. Any questions here from the Jitsi? Otherwise, I'll just continue with my questions.
I can tell Raymond that the noise is coming from our Hackfest from my company where I'm sitting at currently. So he can. It's the last day, so Raymond, sorry, we are leaving all in after this meeting.
Sounds fun, Marco. Okay, I want to address another question. User groups want to promote, of course, QGIS in their country, but we also face in different countries, different settings, but also internationally. Especially dealing with inclusivity. So I can see in the Netherlands we have a lot of men active in GIS and of a certain age group. So are there any tips on how to improve inclusivity once you have a user group, or any good practices that we know from other user groups?
So you asked two very separate questions. The fact that there are a lot of men involved in GIS world, I think, is something we see at any conference we go to, and we struggle with at any conference we go. I'd really love to take a screenshot right now where we say only 3 of us and 2 women, which is. But I'm sure that if everybody had a camera on, we would have a very different ratio. But this is a thing that the whole community, like the whole industry, is struggling with, and I think it stems from an industry or university or school level. I remember when I was back at university studying computer science as a as a minor, it was 50 men to 1 woman in the classroom. So in the GIS, it was 50 to 5 maybe. So it's something that goes way back, and we are trying to do things, but I think we have a systemic problem there. On the inclusivity, well, we have a systemic problem. Sorry, I forgot one thing, because I remember when I was teaching GIS in the South Pacific, I was basically teaching only to women, because there is the computer literacy is much more on women than on men. So I think it was really interesting to me to have a course on PyQGIS with 9 women and no men. I really enjoyed it, to see that it has nothing to do with gender. It is just the way that our systems are built, at least in Europe, or in the countries that I'm more used to be. And that is probably that needs to be changed. Hans, you're probably at a better place to work with that, being already in the teaching. Maybe you're a little bit late in the career of students already, being at university level already. I think it should be addressed at elementary, and telling young girls that science is cool, that mathematics is cool, that GIS is cool. So all these kind of things need to start at elementary level. I think there is maybe a bit we can do. QGIS, we can do we can do initiatives in outreach initiatives. I subscribed QGIS to a program called Outreachy, which does exactly that in granting. So it's similar to Google Summer of Code, but only for women. But that's something that happened like 1 month ago, not even. So it's really new. But I think there we have a very strong systemic problem. On the inclusiveness, on the other side, I think we are a nice community, and I think we should continue to be such a nice community, allowing very different thoughts and very different backgrounds to people. And that is something that I want, and we all want from the PSC, to see reflected in the user groups.
I think it'll also be useful. I don't know if it's advertisable, but I thought it was very useful when I was still quite new in the community, and some of the other ladies from South Africa, we applied for the travel grant to come to some of the QGIS community events, etc. And we were successful in that, and we were able to travel from countries in the global south to go and visit, interact with the team, and then actually start something rolling. From my side, my contribution was this, the YouTube channel, and doing things. But I mean, you know, that is a great starting point. There are avenues for people to, you know, you can say something systemic as much as you like, and I do agree. And the opposite is true. There are very many female speech therapists and very few male speech therapists. You know, depends on the area that you're in. But as a member of the community, I think it's really important to blaze your own path. If you want to get involved, apply for the funding, go to the events, get involved. And I think that's where a bit of the diversity will come from.
I think what I was addressing to with systemic is the reachability is really hard. I mean, if you are a young GIS person or GIS, if you're the young Amy that is motivated.
I had no idea it existed until I got to varsity. 100%. It was not in our schools or anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's more the step that I was addressing, where as soon as you get to the point where you know QGIS, then you will have no issue becoming part of the community. I think that it's the point to get you to there is what I think it's really something that we need as a society to address much earlier. There are many things happening out there with women in STEM or girls in STEM. And that is really about the discoverability. The fact that young Amy even got to the point where she was doing GIS, it's cool, but that needs to grow a lot.
100%.
I think that bridges nicely to what you already mentioned, Marco, the role of education. I see a link with user groups. We have been discussing that also in the Dutch user group, how to involve more young people, because we don't want to be this aging user group. We want to also have influx from the bottom. And one new thing that we decided in the last meeting with our members was to give a free membership to students. Linked to their email from their institution, so we don't want to have a burden of administration to check their passes of their universities, etc. And at least then they have no threshold to become a member, and membership in our case means that you can join the events that we organize for free, because that requires membership. So maybe there are other ideas about reaching out to students and get young Amy's engaged already early and know about us and see that it's a welcoming community. I see there's some questions coming in the chat here in the Jitsi. It's about from Thomas here on the knowledge of GIS is low in the place where he is, but it's constantly growing. And the question is about how do you make recruitment of new members attractive, and how do you keep them motivated? Yeah, how do you get your members?
So maybe first on the Thomas note there, I was lucky enough to have teachers at schools asking me to go and tell kids what GIS was. I was at primary school, so kids aged 7, 8, telling them what they could do with GIS in a playful way, and I think that is a very important part of not making our industry just hold Marcos and Hanses and Tims. This is something super important that can be done really easily with very basic GIS knowledge. You can do, and some motivation, you can do some cool stuff for very young kids. And how to get members, I think it's that's one way to go as well. You get them when they're really young, and then they start doing GIS, and then they love it, and obviously it's going to be QGIS because you show them nicely how GIS can be relevant to their lives. If you present GIS as a dry science of geeks trying to figure out what bus factor between this and that, it's not the way that you should go. But if you can show extremely interesting use cases to future user, that's a really good way to get new people on board. What we've done in Switzerland back in 2017, we did what we used to call QGIS on the road show. It was we went around Switzerland in 7 cities and did put up a 1.5 hour show with a storyline about Maya the beekeeper, building up a project during her retirement. And it was really like people really could engage with that story, and I think we increased a lot the member number of the QGIS user group after that. It was it was a private company doing it that brought people then on the QGIS user group. There is absolutely plenty of ways to go create engaging. I think Netherlands, you're doing a lot of Geofort events where you're showing what geography is physically to people as well, and you're showing what GIS is. Last week I was at the Spain user group meeting where we had a fantastic keynote by a professor of the university there telling us what they do, how they drive tourists or how they move tourists around Barcelona thanks to geospatial analysis and marketing. So they decide that a certain area of Barcelona has too many visitors from Italy, so they will stop doing advertisement about that specific part of Barcelona in Italian and just do it in French. And all these based on statistical and geostatistical analysis. But the way that he presented it had nothing to do with that. He was telling us, we're not sending Italians there, we're sending Frenchies there. So it's the way that you're telling stories that what you can do with GIS. I think it's a very important way to get new people in.
Nice examples. We also noticed from the Dutch user group that every time we organize an event, we get new members and also new company members, which are also very important for us. I think, Amy, we need to round off a bit.
Yes, there are only 3 minutes or so left. I do want to note that from my side, I've, on a smaller level, obviously smaller budgets, etc. When I interact with universities, so like for example, we have WITS or the University of Pretoria. We interact with some key academics, and then you give a presentation at the university, and a lot of the young sort of people who are starting in the GIS world are very interested to take the step into the GIS community. So it doesn't have to be like a huge event organized by yourself. Just a talk at a local school or a local university is enough to start bringing people into the world. Yes, we only have about 2 minutes left. I did want to just say there is a question on the live chat that if there is a repository for different geospatial problem statements and their solutions in the forms of expressions and models. But that does exist on the QGIS website. I don't know, Hans, if you want to quickly open that just to round off the session. Everything you can find or want to know is on the QGIS website.
Let me quickly share it. So on the QGIS website, you have the resources tab, and there's this fantastic resources hub. And there you